Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Tiabu, and as has been the case for the last few days, I watched a bunch of new shows today. Really two that aired today, and one that was kind of a leftover from yesterday, which was super busy that I just didn't get to. So in order, I started with Africa No Salary Man. This is the one that actually aired yesterday and was kind of left over for this morning, and I watched it. It was surprisingly really fun. There's a a lot of things here that shouldn't work, but they do. This is a goofy workplace comedy about a bunch of African savanna animals, toucans, lizards, and I guess the main character is a lion, played by Gus from Carole and Tuesday. The voice acting is great. The jokes are sometimes pretty funny. A couple of them didn't super land for me, but most of them did. And it's actually got some creative animation, creative like art direction, creative color design and stuff that's pretty cool. There's an almost constant switching between 2D and CG versions of these animal characters, which could be really off-putting, but wasn't, partly because the characters themselves are really simple designs and they read really easily in both a CG model typey form and a 2D flat typey form. Um, it just kind of worked. And then there are some like really creative, weird style changes, some interesting references to other stuff, some JoJo's references, some other things. And all in all, it was a really solid use of 20 minutes or so and a really fun time. I don't know if it's going to be able to keep up that level of goofiness and whether they're going to expend their ideas for jokes very quickly, but for an original series that's fun and goofy and like popcorn comedy, this is pretty good. It's one of the better goofy comedies of the season, so I would sincerely recommend going ahead and checking it out. Um, the other thing is that about half of the roles on this thing, like animation director, chief animation director, color design, color setting, photography direction, director itself, just everything is by one guy, Tetsuya Tatamitani, who has done a bunch of things on a bunch of things that are like really not very well regarded. And none of which I've seen. So I didn't really have any expectations going in. It looked kind of dumb, and then we got into it, and it was dumb, but in the best way. So again, I would highly recommend just giving this a shot, seeing if it lands with you, because it was a lot better than I expected. It's definitely a winner. I'd say treasure for the day for sure. The second thing that I watched was Watashi Noryoku wa Heikinchi de ta dete ita. Okay, it's a long name. It translates to like I thought I asked to be average in my next life. It's an isekai and a goofy not goofy, well, kind of goofy. A moe cute girl show. And it knows it. It knows exactly what it is. It's not trying to be anything else. This is wonderfully tasty popcorn entertainment, and I had a really good time with it. There is nothing unique here. There is nothing ultra creative here, but the characters are well designed and fun. The voice acting is good. The story that we got through today was just sort of an introduction to the world and the characters and all that jazz, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. I would call this the popcorn entertainment for sure. There's no substance to it at all, not at least in this first episode, but it was a goofy fun time, and I had a really good time watching it. So if you like cute girl shows and you're okay with isekai, then this might be right up your alley. A good way to spend 20 minutes, but nothing super crazy special or anything like that. Just fine. Um, and then the third show, the third show that I watched today was Stand My Hero's Piece of Truth, which is the adaptation of an otome game, otome slash puzzle game, so the girls' version of a Bishoujo game. And it's by Studio MSC, who brought us Prince of Tennis. And it's by Hideo Yamamoto, the director of Strike the Blood and some other things. Uh, how do I approach this? In terms of actual content here, there's nothing appalling or terrible, but we we've watched some not so great shows on this channel, and we've certainly watched some not so great episode ones, but rarely has there been an episode one of a show that feels like it is maybe trying to injure me, like actually caused pain. Um, and I put this all on the back of the color designer of this thing because there are a lot of scenes in this show that are genuinely painful to look at, like eye bleed inducing painful. Um, okay, if you're sensitive to bright light, maybe start squinting now because I'm gonna edit in a few like frames from the episode just to try and give you some kind of idea of what I'm talking about. Because there are a lot of, like 50% of the episode is made up of scenes where there's either a painful clash of colors or it's just so bright and saturated that it is actually difficult to look at. Um, even putting that aside, there's nothing in the show that is for me or like aimed at me. It is not my type of show. It is very much a show for girls who are interested in pretty boys, and there are a bunch of pretty boys, and their voice actors are all pretty well regarded and like have been in a lot of things, and all the voice acting is pretty good, but God, this show is hard to look at, and that is the worst possible thing you can have in a primarily visual medium, is to fuck up one of the core pillars of your visual design. It's baffling, honestly. Don't watch this, but if you want to see me in like if you enjoy seeing me in genuine pain, then maybe watch the reaction to it. I don't know. I'm gonna post it, but be warned, this is not fun to look at, and there isn't anything else that would really redeem it. So this is a big time loss for me. Like I don't think I've ever experienced anything quite like this. Even Azure Lane from last week, which I know some people in the Discord and some people in the comments were saying like this show was really bright and really loud. I found it really loud, but I didn't find it as bright and off-putting, and that's just because the color design was a little bit better. It was far brighter as a show, but the color design was better. I'll, I would have already edited in the frame, so you know what I mean. But this was a big yikes for me. There are these like weird vignettes of like pinkishness, almost like a reverse drop shadow from the edges of the screen that are just scattered throughout. This is a weird one, and I don't know how to feel about it because there's nothing that I liked about it. And usually there's at least something that I can grab onto where I'm like, I like at least this part of the show. I guess the voice acting was fine, but it was all serving a purpose that I didn't care for at all. It's a Otome game adaptation, and the color designer needs to not work as a color designer anymore. Yikes. Big yikes on this one. All right, I'm done talking about it. I'm getting to where I was at the end of the actual reaction of this one, where I was just kind of baffled and talking around in circles, and just sort of saying the same thing over and over again. And I don't want to do that. So wrap up. 3 shows today. Africa No Salary Man. Check it out. It's a fun one. It might surprise you. There's some cool stuff there, and they're sort of, it's one of those situations where they're working within limitations and excelling because of those limitations. Seems like it's a very small staff and they're working hard to make this fun. It actually in some ways reminds me of things like Inferno Cop. It's not quite on that level of craziness, but it's got some elements there that are kind of reminiscent of that. And then there's Watashi blah 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 blah, which was just a fun, cute girl show set in an isekai with a backing and grounding in isekai tropes, which was goofy, fun, popcorn entertainment. It'll pass right through you, and you won't remember much about it, but it was a good time. And then there's Stand My Heroes, which I don't know that I could recommend to anybody, even the target audience, because it is genuinely difficult to look at. So those were the 3 shows I watched. Two kind of treasure. Well, okay, one treasure for sure. One, this is pretty okay, and one, yikes. Yeah, that's it for me. So, meet Tiabu. These are the shows that I watched. I hope this helps you in some way. Decide what you want to watch, and I hope to catch you tomorrow in whatever airs tomorrow. Peace.